Let's talk about Bastogne a little bit.
Okay.
Situation normal. Going into Bastogne without proper winter gear, without enough ammunition. Some of the guys didn't have weapons.
Right.
Did you know about how bad the situation was?
No, I had no idea. We had no concept at all of what we were getting into. It was just a matter of, as is brought out in the story, here we go again. We had no idea what we were getting into. As pointed out, many of the weapons were in ordnance, getting repaired from Holland, and so we were short on weapons. Naturally, we didn't keep ammunition in Mormelon ready to go off on a mission. So there was just a small amount of ammunition available. And the men were told that, you'd be here till spring, and then you can look forward to jumping across the Rhine River in the spring as we go for Berlin. So this came as a little surprise. So we were not ready for it. And mentally, equipment-wise, no plans whatsoever. As a matter of fact, to illustrate that point, Colonel Strayer, the battalion commander, he was at a wedding of the British regimental commander that had jumped on the other side of the Rhine. He was getting married in England, so Strayer was at his wedding in England. And Higgins, the assistant division commander, he was also in England giving lectures on what we had learned in Holland. And General Taylor, the division commander, was back home in Washington. Now the story that we got was that he was back home in Washington to give counsel to Marshall, General Marshall, and so forth, on the restructure of airborne units. And that was in defense of the fact that I think most of us felt that he was back home with his family for the Christmas holidays. And we were caught going to Bastogne, and he was off base. But stop for a minute there and don't be too hard on the guy. And think of the fact as we come in close to Normandy, and the Germans knew that D-Day was very, very close. And where did General Rommel, what decision did he make that was wrong? As we know, he went home to his wife's birthday party, took her a pair of shoes from Paris or something. And so he wasn't with the troops. He was not in position for D-Day. So the fact that Taylor was back home, we'll say visiting his wife for the holidays, he wasn't the only guy that was caught off base.
Two specific questions about Bastogne. The cold, the bitter cold, the snow. Ever experienced anything like that since?
No.
So the
No.
movie does a pretty good job of depicting just
Definitely.
how cold and how miserable it was.
Definitely. You can't describe it. You can't describe it to live through it night after night, not knowing how long this is going to go on. It's a matter, say you're going out on a maneuver or something, and you know you're going to be out for 2 or 3 nights. Mentally, you're prepared. In this case, you didn't know how long is this going to go on. And on that point, on the cold, I think it's you're not normally aware that the number of casualties that we had at Bastogne, about a third of them were frostbite from the cold. So yeah, the casualties were high, but the frostbite was responsible for a good percentage.
How critical was George Rice's trips to bring in that ammunition?
Oh my, very important. We'll never forget him for being such a conscientious officer and getting us a couple loads of ammunition before, at the last second, and taking it right out from under the Germans. It was very important. And I can remember standing there on that as it came up, and I don't care who you are, what rank you had. I was battalion executive officer, but when he started throwing that ammunition out of that Jeep, I'm a captain, but I'm on my hands and knees fighting the rest of the guys for a few rounds of ammunition because I didn't have any either. And you got in there and you fought for what little you could get.
You know, the saying in Bastogne was, you know, situation normal. We're surrounded, we're outnumbered,
Yeah,
we don't have enough ammunition,
Yeah.
clothing.
yeah,
I pity the Germans.
yeah.
Was it really that? I mean, we joked before we started the interview about how Patton didn't really rescue you. You guys didn't need rescued.
Yeah. Well, what else are you going to tell yourself? You're going to sit there and pity yourself? So that's the answer you give yourself. And the other thing is that on the subject of surrender, that's a subject that never came up. We never talked about it. We never thought about it. How can you? If you're going to be sit around pitying yourself and talking about it and thinking about it, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to convince yourself that you should surrender. That never happened. We never talked about it, never thought about it.